Donald Trump threatened to bomb Iranian bridges and power plants. And a reporter said, "Is that a war crime?" And Trump's answer was to attack the reporter. We've seen this before.
Question about Iran. You're talking about blowing up civilian power plants and bridges. Much of the civilized world would consider that a war crime. Do you?
I won't respond to that question. Who are you with?
The New York Times.
And I figured so. Failing New York Times.
Failing New York Times. And that's it. You don't get an answer. He could have said every strike will follow the laws of war. Of course. He could have explained, I don't know, which military targets he meant, or he could have said, well, we're going to get these targets, but they have strategic value. And here's how we're going to protect civilians. He didn't do any of that. He just said, who are you with? The New York Times. Very much a failing New York Times. Now, more than likely, Trump understood answering the substance could be a big legal problem and a big political problem, because at the end of the day, he is proposing war crimes. So he refuses to answer and he attacks the messenger. Now, I don't even know that cornered is the right word. Trump got a single direct question, refused to answer it, and there were no immediate consequences for refusing to answer. And what Trump announced is every time Iran attacks a ship in the Strait of Hormuz, America will destroy one bridge or power plant, including near Tehran. Now, that is not how lawful military targeting works. Attacking a bridge or a power plant is not automatically a war crime. Civilian infrastructure could be a legitimate military target if it contributes to military operations and provides a definitive military advantage. But commanders must distinguish military targets from civilian objects, and they must consider, is civilian harm going to be excessive relative to the military advantage we get? They have to take feasible precautions in those situations. Trump is like, I'm not going to answer that. Who you with? Failing New York Times. And the punishment formula is for every military ship that's hit or other ships, America will destroy a piece of infrastructure. Well, which bridge? Which power plant? What military function does it serve? Does the electricity run hospitals or water treatment or sewage systems? How many civilians could die when the lights go out? And Trump's stated criteria is Iran does something, we're going to do this other thing. And international law prohibits intentionally attacking civilian objects that are not valid military objectives. Trump wants revenge, but revenge doesn't change the law. Now, there was a discussion I read which said, isn't this all kind of like a distraction from the Epstein files? And I want to address it. You know, at this point, everything, depending on who you talk to, everything is supposedly a distraction from everything else. We can follow more than one scandal at the same time. And so when I see a president threatening potentially unlawful attacks on civilian infrastructure, that deserves attention. And Trump promised peace through strength. 5 months into the war, we've got 13 consecutive nights of new strikes, and commercial shipping is under attack, and troops are dead, and Trump can't define victory or explain the exit or tell us how much longer this is going to last. That is important. A single question from a reporter exposed how vapid this whole thing is. And also, we're not going to forget about the Epstein files. And we've done multiple interviews about the Epstein files over the last few weeks. And we can do two things at once. But here, this totally depraved and wacky retaliation formula combined with an insult to the reporter and no legal answer is what we are focused on. Now, just to go back to the beginning of the show, Donald Trump over the weekend went to the rescheduled White House Correspondents' Dinner, and he joked about how he won in 2020, and he joked about how he's running again, and he put on a Trump 2028 hat and did the full routine. And the room of press who have been roundly attacked by Trump and suppressed by Trump and disrespected by Trump, who has no respect for the media, laughed at most of it. And here is Donald Trump getting a serious substantive question. There are other countries where if you're asked about your apparent plan to commit war crimes and you go, who are you with? The failing New York Times. That becomes a scandal where every serious media outlet reports on it and attempts to hold the president accountable and will join in asking the same question every time over and over again until they get a real answer in solidarity with the press. Here we didn't get that. And over the weekend, the press corps laughed at Trump's authoritarian jokes. Depressing stuff. Thanks for watching. Check out this other video. And if you like our content, make sure to subscribe so YouTube puts our videos in your feed, and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple.